Hey guys, welcome back to the Grant Mitt Podcast, episode number 110. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about the purpose of adversity and why you need to grow through it to ultimately achieve the things that you want to in life. In life, if you do not grow through the challenges that you face, whether it's in business, your personal life, your health, your relationships, if you don't grow through those challenges, you're going to continue to face the same ones over and over again. Think about when you're working out or you're building muscle. What happens? Your muscles actually tear down, slowly break down. You get sore. You don't feel good for a couple days. But then what happens after that? Your muscles grow bigger. Life works the exact same way. And early on, when I started learning and building and really understanding how the heck this world works and what's the purpose of being here and why do we go through the certain things that we go through. And what I started noticing as things progressed, and even after I had success, I would still go through incredible challenges, and I still am today. And I noticed this one consistent trend. When I looked back, I never actually regretted going through one thing. Every single problem that I faced, every person that betrayed me, or every mess up that if I would have just not done that, I would have made so much more money, or this would have been better. I wouldn't have to gone through those things. And when I noticed all of those things, I'm like, So in other words, these things have actually been fully used for my benefit. The collective experience of going through all of those difficult challenges not only helped myself, but it helped everyone around me. And the same thing is happening and has also likely happened to you already. So the key is we need to start changing our perspective so we can grow and ultimately have an incredible next year and elevate and do things that we've never done before. So back in, this is 2018. I had come out of being in the low of my life, and I went from Ubering across town, living with a family member, applying to sales jobs until I finally landed a sales job. Now, the 2 years prior to that, I had spent so much time, energy, and effort reading, learning, and just absorbing as much information as possible. And I had felt so built up and confident and prepared that when I really entered the workforce, I started having a lot of success because I'd prepared so much. I'd been through a lot, in football and just past experiences. And the next thing is I was on this sales team. We had about 10 to 15 on the team, and we had a great regional sales manager. And the team eventually became the number one office in the entire country for that company. And I was one of the best sales reps on the team. I was doing great. Everything was good. Out of nowhere, the regional sales manager quit. He resigned and took a position at another company. And at first glance, you would assume, you must have been excited because you probably wanted that position. But to be honest, I wasn't really plotting to become the regional sales manager. I loved the team that I was on. I loved the manager that I worked for. I was learning so much from him. And I wasn't in a rush. I was just looking to continue to develop, hoping that one day something would open up and an opportunity would present itself. But when it opened up, a vacuum occurred. Everyone from that team was quitting and leaving to go work for that manager at a different company. I decided to keep holding out, and I was open to the idea, but I didn't want to betray and leave the company that I was at, and I just wanted to kind of play it slowly and see what opportunities would present themselves. Slowly, all of a sudden, we were down to about 4 to 5 people, and I started thinking, maybe I should go after this regional sales manager role. And I thought about it, and I was thinking about how I was going to approach the director of sales above him and maybe just put my name in there. But at the same time, I had doubts. I was 22 years old. Yeah, I've had some leadership experience when I was playing football, but I had never actually managed a team, much less a team where everyone was older than me and more experienced. So I kind of sat back. All of a sudden, let's say that was a Monday or Tuesday, Friday came around, and they suddenly named another person on that team as regional sales manager. For a couple of days, I was kind of down about it because I was like, man, I just should have said something. I should have asked. And it was kind of depressing. I was like, man, I've worked hard. I was one of the top 2 sales reps. The other one that was, the closest in numbers was going to the other company. Maybe it should have been my deal. But I said, you know what? It's not my time. I'm going to support this new manager as much as possible, try to carry the weight on the team, and just see what happens. Now, think about how many different ways I could have handled that experience. I could have been bitter. I could have got up and left. I could have been passive aggressive and tried to sabotage the team. Instead, I decided to take the high road. Thank God I did this because I just focused, I helped people, and 2 weeks later, they ended up letting that guy go because he wasn't performing. And next thing you know, I get a random call from the CEO. He said, "Hey, what is your future here? What do you want to accomplish?" And I said, I always have a leadership background, so I think I could become a regional sales manager, but I don't know. It's up to you. Obviously, you're the CEO, but I think I could do it. And he said, "Okay, let me talk to the team. We'll get back to you." I said, "Okay." They came back and they gave me an opportunity to run it. Now that sounds exciting. Like I just landed something, but think about it. The guy before me only lasted 2 weeks and was already let go. So now a 22-year-old with now the team only has 2 people and both reps were basically about 3 weeks away from being let go because their numbers were so bad. How was I going to turn this around? You would think that if, let's say, God wanted me to be successful or that it would the best thing for me to have this incredible team lined up of 15 studs where I walk in and I suddenly make all this money and it's just the best experience ever. But let's kind of pause everything for a second. If you really need to be prepared to accomplish the things that you want, shouldn't the setup to actually getting to that point be extremely difficult? Because the more difficult that it is, the more prepared that you're going to be. So I basically had to rebuild an entire team from scratch. I had to eventually fire those 2 or 3 people. Then I had to learn and master recruiting, training, leadership, management, and expand and improve on my sales skills. And that was about May or June of 2018. And I went full force. I took no salary until I hit certain numbers, and then they finally added a salary. And then I ended up building that team into the number 1 sales team in the entire country. And then the following year, taking over and building out about 5 to 6 other markets all across the United States. So think about this. Well, the easy route would have been me just getting placed this unbelievable team. If I didn't have to learn how to build that team from scratch, being scared I was going to get fired every single week, I would have not been able to learn the skills to, one, develop my sales skills, leadership skills, but also if I can't build a team for another person's company, how the heck could I ever end up starting my own? And it was those skill sets that I learned to help me eventually build a successful business and get into other ventures and then also be able to help people do the same. So sometimes the thing that it looks like is going to ruin your career or is the biggest blow ever, or you had this person in your life that you thought would be there forever and suddenly they betray you. Sometimes those things are meant for your good. There's a Chinese proverb, and it's just a great story, about a man that had a farm. And what happened is his horse, he had this prize champion horse. It was worth a ton of money. It suddenly ran away. And he went to the town and all the people said, "Man, that's so bad that you lost your horse. It was a championship horse. It's the worst. I can't believe that happened to you." And the man said, "Maybe." And then the next day, the horse came running back with about 5 to 6 other wild horses. All the people in the town said, "Wow, what a turn of events. I can't believe this happened. We thought you lost your championship horse. Now you suddenly have all these horses. How incredible is this?" The man said, "Maybe." The next day, the man's son was trying to break in one of the new horses until he flew off the horse and broke his leg. Everybody in the town said, "What a turn of events. If all those horses wouldn't have came, your son would have never broke his leg. This is horrible." The man said, "Maybe." But then all of a sudden, the following week, the nation's army and emperors and generals all came throughout the town, recruiting all able-bodied men to go fight in the war front lines, which basically guaranteed a sure death. The problem is, when they went to recruit the son, because he had a broken leg, they couldn't take him to war. The point is that every time something happens to you, you don't actually know if it's for your benefit or for something that's not good towards you. You have to trust that it's putting you in the right direction. Now, the key that what I found is the most difficult is that's easy to say after you got the trophy. It's easy to say when you went through all the challenging times and now you're successful. But it's hard to say and recognize this when you're going through the most challenging times in your life, or when you're building the business and everyone thinks you're crazy, when you're losing money, when you're scared you're going to make rent, when you're scared you're going to be able to make payroll. That's when it's hard to say these positive, great outlooking things. But if you really think back, if you're still alive to this day, you still have a purpose. And I'm not telling you this to be positive. I'm telling you this to be realistic. If you're here for a reason. And if you are going through or have gone through extremely challenging times, it's meant to groom you into who you are supposed to become. And you cannot become someone that is of great stature, great success, and most importantly, a leader of other people if you have not faced hardship. Study every successful person in every single industry. They have all gone through something so dire, so stressful, potentially even life-threatening, that it made them into who they were supposed to become. Okay, so I want to give you these 3 easy steps where you can actually kind of assess what you're going through right now. I'm sure everyone is facing something in some capacity. And if your life is perfect right now, I hope it stays like this forever and you never need these 3 steps. But if you do ever go through something, which you likely will, here's these 3 steps. Okay, so step number 1, when you're going into war, when you're going into battle, the first step is accepting it. There is absolutely no point of wishing you were not in the problems that you were today. When war begins, you have to accept it and you have to remain calm. Okay, the people who get over emotional, the ones that freak out, and most importantly, the ones that live in the past and wish things were different, do not survive. And they don't make it out better. You have to accept it. Number 2, if you do not grow through the challenges that you're either going through right now or you're going to go through it in the future, you will experience that same problem over and over again. So you have to grow through it or you're going to face it again and again. So take it as an opportunity. Okay? Think long-term, for example. I want you to think 20 years from now, if you eventually become and accomplish the things that you want, think about how bigger your problems are going to be. If you cannot handle what you're facing now, why in the heck could you handle anything bigger? Okay, and then 3, when you get past the problem you're facing now or the future problems that you're going to face, don't repeat it. Learn systems and processes and decisions that prevent you from ever going through those things again. Okay, so the biggest thing that I can tell you to close this off is hyper-intelligent people can think past the small problems of today. People with low IQs that let their egos and their emotions get the best of them obsess over the small problems and quarrels of today. They obsess over what random person commented on their post, or what someone said bad about them, or the bad thing that happened to you, the car cutting you off. Think long-term. The brightest minds in the world think in decades, not in weeks, not in days. You can do the same. And even though you're not maybe in a spot that you want to be at, or maybe you're having a ton of success, but you want to get to another level, to do this, you're going to have to pull yourself out of the present moment and think long-term. So I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. As always, make sure to find me on all my social media channels at Grant Mitt, and hope to see you guys soon for episode 111. Thank you guys.